Bring you up to speed on the latest headlines happening across the valley this afternoon. 2 men are dead after a shootout at a condo complex near 3rd Avenue and Osborne in central Phoenix. Phoenix police tell us one of the men died inside a unit. Another man died at the hospital. A third man was injured, but he's expected to be okay. Police say they have a couple of people in custody. A former Girl Scouts troop leader in Mesa is accused of molesting kids as young as 3 years old. Investigators say George Little had been abusing children for years in his home. One of the girls told investigators he touched her inappropriately and exposed himself. Little and his wife were both volunteer troop leaders. Little is out of jail on bond. A disturbing case of sexual abuse that rocked the valley. Today, former Hacienda nurse Nathan Sutherland was in court as his case prepares for trial. Sutherland is accused of sexually assaulting an incapacitated patient at Hacienda Healthcare, resulting in the patient becoming pregnant and giving birth to a child. Police say DNA evidence links Sutherland to the victim's newborn baby. A trial date may be set at the next court hearing, but it's likely the actual case may not begin until next year. For a timeline of how the Hacienda Healthcare investigation has unfolded since last December, download the 12 News app. The Woodbury fire may be 100% contained, but it certainly isn't out. Crews with ADOT and the Tonto National Forest say Apache Lake remains closed right now, along with State Highway 88, Apache Trail between Tortilla Flat and the Roosevelt Dam. Crews are still monitoring smoke and active fire moving within the interior of the Woodbury fire region, northwest of Superior. A rule change by the Department of Health and Human Service could leave up to almost 20,000 Arizonans paying more or go without family planning care. The new rules would prevent clinics receiving Title X funding from referring patients to abortion clinics or discuss abortion as an option. Arizona's largest provider of Title X care, Planned Parenthood, says they will drop out of the program under these conditions. The organization plans to keep its doors open, but it's more than 19,000 Arizona patients who will no longer receive government assistance for the care.
So people are going to lose out. People are not going to make appointments. They're not going to get their annual wellness exams. They're going to lose access to birth control. And we know what that looks like. It becomes a public health care crisis.
Some sides are praising the move from the Department of Health and Human Services. The Center for Arizona Policy calling the new rules an important step in disentangling taxpayers from the abortion industry. Well, now that you're up to speed, be sure to check in on 12news.com and the 12 News app for more in-depth coverage of the new clinic regulations and its effect right here in the Valley.